We're opening a door today that you probably prefer to keep tightly locked: the 7 deadly sins. Now, when you hear that phrase, you probably think of ancient ledgers, fire and brimstone, and completely outdated morals. But what if we've had it wrong this whole time? What if these aren't moral judgments at all, but rather a timeless, incredibly accurate map of our own psychological vulnerabilities? Because that's exactly what we are exploring today. These 7 patterns, they aren't moral defects. They are actually protective strategies, defense mechanisms born from deep internal conflict. So we're turning the mirror inward today, and we're going to focus entirely on the quiet, manipulative, and deeply unsettling power of the very first pattern: lust. Okay, let's dive right into this ancient blueprint and completely redefine desire. Because to truly understand what's happening inside our heads, we have to strip away all those old moral definitions. We need to look closely at the raw, unfiltered mechanics of craving. So what is lust really? It's an obsessive craving, a compulsive mental fixation that your brain uses as a protective strategy to fill a relational void. You see, it's not actually about physical attraction. That's just the illusion. In reality, it's a desperate psychological attempt to mask deep-seated insecurities. It's misdirected energy, treating an object of desire not as a real person, but as a tool, a bridge to a fleeting sense of wholeness that, let's be honest, never actually arrives. Ultimately, it's a force designed to isolate you, all while making a false promise of connection. So how does this happen? Let's look at the chemistry of craving and what is essentially a biological hijack. To see how this isolation takes hold, we have to take a somewhat dark descent into your own neurobiology. We need to look at how intense desire physically rewires the reward circuits inside your brain. The trap is incredibly methodical. It happens step by step. It always starts with anticipation. Just a passing thought, a quick image, maybe a scent. Then comes the dopamine release. But here is the secret most people don't know. Dopamine is not the chemical of pleasure. It's the chemical of motivation. It drives an uncontrollable wanting, an obsessive pursuit, not peaceful satisfaction. And that leads right into habit reinforcement. Your brain remembers that intense spike and simply demands it again. Finally, it locks you into compulsion, a loop you feel like you can no longer break. And as that loop spins, something genuinely frightening happens. Your baseline fades, the craving grows. This is the biological reality of tolerance. When your brain is subjected to repeated, intense stimulation, it protects itself by dialing down its own natural response. The result? Everyday reality just starts to fade. A walk in the park, a normal conversation, a quiet evening, they all start to feel completely hollow, dull, gray. You literally begin to need more extreme stimulation just to feel normal. This brings us to the illusions and self-deception, or basically the lies our minds tell us. You see, the human ego simply cannot handle the reality that it has lost control. So what does it do? It begins to lie. It shifts you into a state of deep self-deception. There's this silent war happening right now between illusion and reality. You tell yourself, I'm in control. I'm just filling a natural need. I can stop whenever I want. But the reality is so much darker. It's a primal, unchecked craving masking a much deeper internal void. Desire severely narrows your awareness. It distorts your perception completely, making the object of your fixation seem like the absolute only thing in the world that matters. It quietly manipulates every single decision you make just to get you closer to it. Now, to protect itself from the shame of that reality, your ego uses a brilliant defense mechanism: rationalization. It invents logical excuses for you. It justifies your behaviors, even when they're entirely driven by unconscious, primal impulses. It creates a really comfortable fiction, a story you tell yourself so you don't ever have to face the terrifying truth, the truth that your own willpower has been completely overridden by desire. Let's bring this into the modern era with the digital surrogate, and what is essentially the weaponization of desire. Because today, this ancient biological vulnerability isn't just an internal struggle anymore. It has been ruthlessly weaponized by the digital environments we live in every single day. We are living through the rise of the digital surrogate. We constantly seek parasocial validation from influencers, these one-sided relationships that require absolutely no real vulnerability from us. We fall right into the dopamine trap of likes and comments, constantly refreshing, endlessly scrolling. We develop a deep, emotional dependency on digital metrics, and we chase this hollow, artificial connection because, let's face it, authentic human relationships require conflict. They require risk. Digital desire is effortless, and it is quietly replacing our real lives. Just think about this number for a second. Over 50%. More than half of social media users report having strong emotional bonds with digital figures. Bonds they often find more satisfying than interactions with actual human beings in their physical lives. It's profound proof of exactly how artificial desire narrows our awareness and entirely detaches us from reality. So, what happens when desire takes full control? Let's look at the unsettling truth. As we pull all of this together, we have to face a really uncomfortable reflection, because this isn't just about other people. This is about the subtle, hidden habits we all harbor. It's about the very architecture of our own minds. I want you to genuinely ask yourself, who is really in control? When you pick up your phone, when you chase that next quick hit of validation, when you feel that sudden sharp pull of a craving, are those choices truly your own? Or are they a compulsive mental fixation, a carefully engineered hijack of your brain's ancient survival systems? We tend to think of these destructive forces as loud, obvious, easy to spot, but the human mind is far more subtle than that. Lust does not always scream. Sometimes it whispers until your mind no longer knows the difference between desire and control.